Her name is Mirjana Pejic Bach. Here she is. And she is a professor at the Department of Informatics, Faculty of Economics in Zagreb. Do you have your mic? Are you going to speak here? Deal. You can just sit for a while until I read all of this, and then I'll call you here. She holds a PhD in System Dynamics Modeling and was trained at the MIT Sloan School of Management. Her research areas are data science and simulation modeling. The main goal of her work is to support aspiring researchers through mentoring doctoral theses and the development of their scientific careers. Her talk will answer the question, how to structure a scientific paper in data science. To demystify the process of scientific writing, the case study will be presented, Messy Process, Story of the Birth of One Data Science Paper. I'm really looking forward to hearing this one. I hope you do too. And after the video we'll see Mirjana on stage.
Okay, so hello, my name is Mirjana Pejic Bach, as I have been announced here, and the topic of my presentation is, it says here, writing scientific papers about data science projects. So basically there is no much difference between data science, writing scientific papers or any others. However, in this presentation I wanted to focus to the topics of the data science in the Web of Science, which was investigated, so that you can see the landscape of the research that is available for the data science. I wanted to here give you some information about the background of what I'm doing, so that you see maybe a little bit about it. So education is whatever I was announced with. Basically I graduated in the Faculty of Economics and Business, and originally my training was in statistics. Later I moved on to data science and data mining with system dynamics and simulation games. So scientific research areas are data mining and data science, digital divide, technology acceptance and statistical modeling. But I would like to stress that a very big part of our work in science is editorial work and working as a reviewer. And here you can learn very much about scientific work and how to write a scientific paper, how to correct it, what it means to have a good scientific paper and so on. About my publication roadmap, he started approximately in 2000 and with some switch, and then lately in last 10 years we published lots of papers and lots of research at our department, and also at the Faculty of Economics we have quite a strong production in this area, also with the Department of Statistics and Mathematics. And here is Scopus also puts here the most contributed topics which I mentioned to you: technology acceptance, business intelligence, and for example there is a credit card fraud, that type of research. Here are the papers which I wanted to show you the type of research that we do. One example is a combination of the business performance management and business intelligence, and the other one is the recent publication text mining of Industry 4.0 job advertisements, which we did together in a team. So when I got employed at the Faculty of Economics and Business, the first thing that they told me, publish or perish. So when you work at the faculty, you need to publish lots of scientific papers, not lot, but of high quality and what is needed in terms of advancement. However, if you come from Croatia or any other country which is not like United States or England, you have some kind of barriers, and two most important are language and no formal education. In terms of language, we all speak English, obviously. However, when you write a scientific paper, it really needs to be very complex language. The terminology needs to be also unified, not to talk about grammar and that kind of stuff. And about the formal education, I have not been informed about that there is the formal education in Croatia about writing scientific paper and that kind of scientific production. this is something which I started to teach maybe 10 years ago when I realized that my assistants need that kind of training. I was lucky enough to have a mentor who graduated in physics, so maybe in that area it was more education than in, let's say, economics. I would like, first of all, I'm going to frame this presentation as if you don't know much about scientific writing, because I did not know about the audience. So there are basically 4 types of scientific publications: conference proceedings, scientific journals and books chapters. However, many of the companies that presented here, their work today, they publish white papers, and also preprints are also important. When you go to Google, to Web of Knowledge and type how to write a scientific paper, I did it yesterday, it was 5,630 papers published, and more than 500 journals in 50 plus countries. The point is, this is a hot topic. In every area, I don't know, medicine, psychology, economics, or whatever, there is a paper on how to write a scientific paper with the different ideas. However, I did not find how to write a scientific paper in data science, and maybe this is something which I will write in a few days, or in a few weeks, or in a few months, who knows. I think this is very important, and this is something which is not yet covered. But why write scientific articles? I suppose that many of you have already published scientific papers in conference. However, what I noticed when I was talking to people who work in statistics and data science, data mining, is that we are all driven by curiosity. So this curiosity drives us to new services and products, and maybe business and societal need, but it is all connected. When, for example, you spot that there is a need, for example, like an app to support people in losing their weight, like it is Noom, it was in the previous presentation, you notice there is a societal need. But then you become curious how to define this app, how to use the data, how to engage users. And then you come to the development of the new service. Reasons for writing scientific articles. I mean, you can ask yourself if you did not do it yet, or you are doing it for many publications, you have like 20,000 citations or whatever. There are several reasons. So first, I think the most is to increase knowledge, but also your own. So when you are writing a scientific paper, you will also increase your knowledge. You will be, let's say, forced to think in systematic manner about some topic, but you will also help others who will read about this specific topic. So the publication of results that are valuable and advancing science. However, also you maybe would like to make some kind of intellectual property protection, which can be formal but also informal. You can say, I was the first one who was writing at this topic, or this app was described in my paper, or something like this. Expert reputation. I will tell you about the conferences which are highly important in information science, in which you can increase your expert reputation and establish your position in a specific field. And of course, scientific reputation, which is recognition and citation, contact with a larger number of readers, scientific progress if you go into that direction. Maybe just to mention that Faculty of Economics and also Faculty of Organizational Sciences in Varaždin are starting a new doctoral study about management of digital innovation. So there are many of doctoral studies also in Croatia or in this area, in which many people who work in data science are going into that direction. So how to write a scientific paper in data science? Many years ago, so it was not many, but 7 years ago, I created this model, which consists on the 4 elements. So the first one is competence. You need to ask some kind of relevant question. Then the course, target the right journal or the right conference. Composition, to make the outline of the paper, and the content to write the paper. So here's the link to the paper which I mentioned here. And first you need to ask some kind of relevant question. So the goals, you can have 2 goals when you're writing scientific paper. The first one can be to showcase your work. You would like to showcase the algorithm that you developed, method, some kind of a project, application, or your goal can be also to increase your knowledge. For example, if you're interested in a specific algorithm or in a deep learning algorithm, you can write a paper on this algorithm just for the review and publish it at the conference, and it will help you to better understand it, to understand better its applications. So I think it's a great way to increase your own knowledge. But before you write, you would like to see what has already been done by others. And for this purpose, I created for today the landscape of data science research. And the methodology which I used, I searched the web of knowledge, and I used two methodologies, bibliometric research and text mining. When you type just data science as a topic, it does not get many papers. You get only 8,000 papers, and it does not make any sense. So I did another query in which I combined data science, data mining, big data, artificial intelligence, statistical learning, cluster analysis, decision trees, artificial neural network, and so on and so on. So this list could be longer. However, this particular list generated let's say a huge number of papers. Let's not think about it, how to say it in English. And then I narrowed it down for the purpose of topic mining to the highly cited papers published only in 2021. You will see what is going on in that area. So when you go to bibliometric analysis, you can see here that the number of papers with this specific combination of keywords is increasing exponentially. Let's say that the data science is the thing that is defining our society today, that's for sure. It is defining the social media, defining the new products, the new innovations that we are hoping also to save our world through the climate change, to solve the problems without the disease, to solve the problems with mental health, society, to prevent fraud, or many things. So the publications in that area is increasing. And I put here top 10 cited papers in this area, which gain a huge number of citations. So the first one, you can see here that this is a combination of the presentation of the methodology. So the first one is deep learning in neural networks, overview. And the others are, you can see also about skin cancer, for example, cancer normal gene, materials innovation, Google Earth, breast cancer subtypes, and so on. But also you have another examples like Internet of Things and representation learning. So basically, again, what I mentioned previously, these are the presentation of applications and presentation of specific algorithms or methodology. When we see about scientific area in which there is the highest number of papers, it is in engineering, computer science, telecommunication, environment, and so on, material science. But if you would go deeper, you would see that there is also health, a number of papers that are in health, business and economics, and so on. About the top countries, of course, the United States is the first one, followed by China, India, England, Germany. However, Croatia is not so bad. We are actually, I think, about 20 place, or maybe 30 place on this list. So there is a quite number of papers written by the authors from Croatia. And I think this is something that may be interesting to you. These are the publications in which you, the biggest number of these publications is already actually published. So the first one is lecture notes in computer science. This is like the group of the conferences which is published by Springer. And you can notice that sometimes for a conference they say that the proceedings will be published in Springer. Then there is IEEE Access, which is also publishing a huge number of papers, but there are some of them which are in a specific area. For example, Annals of Thoracic Surgery. So there is, I suppose, many publications about robotic surgeries or something like this. I did not go into that, but this is again application. Then lecture notes in artificial intelligence, expert system with applications. I'm sure that you all know about this specific journal, Advances in Intelligence System, +1, Sustainability, and so on. So these are mainly the journals and some of the conferences. Lecture notes is the most famous one. And then I moved to text mining in order to show you what type of research is done in data science today. So the methodology is, I'm sure that you all know what is a text mining. This is a process of analyzing lots of unstructured data. Again, from the previous presentation, we heard that there is a number of problems with the data. The data is not clean, the data is not prepared in an adequate format. You cannot create efficient algorithm if you don't have the structured data and so on. But most of the data actually is messy, as it is in text. But this methodology, text mining, is extracting concept, patterns, topic, keywords. And I did here in two steps. The first one is word and phrases extraction, and the second one is topic extraction using cluster analysis. Just to tell you what have I been doing. First, there is this huge number of papers, 4,100,000. Then I extracted highly 1,000 papers, which there is about 8,000 of them. And then I extracted only highly cited papers in 2021, so in the last year, because you cannot do text mining on the huge number of articles. You can do text mining about, I don't know, 1,000 or something like this. Otherwise, you would need much more power than I have on my laptop. And this is the boss viewer analysis which was extracted this morning in data science, highly cited papers in 2021. And you can see immediately the words COVID-19, this was something that was engaging all of us in the last 2 years. Obviously, artificial intelligence, neural networks, however, also there is big data, deep learning, and so on. So let's see what is going on behind this analysis. There are actually a number of clusters extracted here, and in the first clusters you can see a combination of some kind of applications. Actuary and mathematics is here, the first one, actuators, then a combination of different methodologies, for example, artificial neural networks. And when you click this in the boss viewer, you see that these clusters are combined together. So this cluster is actually in a red color, but it is also combined with another clusters. And for each of the clusters, I gave here example paper, and this one is predictive data mining techniques for fault diagnosis in a specific application. The second cluster is about the big data, but also some other technologies like blockchain, for example. And I put here example paper. It is about application, and this specific application is, for example, Mystify. I find it just this morning. It could be any other. It is about blockchain meets big data, and this paper presents this specific application, what type of blockchain and combination of big data they have been using. So obviously this company wanted to advertise what they have been doing, or maybe this is a university, a startup, or a startup company that wants to showcase their work, and this is what they do. It was in IEEE conference. I'm going to mention it also later. The third cluster, it is about the Internet of Things, mainly in machine learning. I gave here like one general paper as an example, and there are many examples. It is Internet of Things, security, vulnerability, and challenges. So authors were writing about the security problems related to Internet of Things. It is also published in IEEE conference. Cluster 4, it combines feature extraction. This is very, very important because we all have problems with a huge number of data. We have problems with the messy data, huge number of data, and huge number of variables. So it's, let's say, art, and really high skill to extract the variables which are important. You need to have you need also to have a little bit of intuition, a little bit of knowledge. Also the domain knowledge is important in order to gain feature extraction, but there are many of algorithms which define how to extract features. And here is a paper about data mining technique for breast cancer detection, but it is using hybrid feature extraction strategy. What is the point here is that these authors wanted to make the prediction of the breast cancer using data science. However, they had a huge number of features or attributes, or whatever you would like to call them, variables. And there is a systematic approach how to select these variables and how to be the most optimized into this approach. Cluster 5, it is about artificial intelligence and digital transformation. I think this is example of the paper which is highly cited about. It is about demystifying artificial intelligence in the context of digital transformation. So this is example of the paper that is written for business people to whom you would like to explain, for example, the strategy of using artificial intelligence in a company, how it is actually used, that this is not so complicated or so complex as it is presented, that this is something that can be done, that it can be efficient, that it can be cost-benefit. This is example of such paper. Cluster 6 combines, for example, again, methodologies, but here is deep learning is in the focus. Example of paper is a comparative survey of artificial intelligence application in finance, about artificial neural networks, expertise system, and hybrid intelligence systems in finance. Cluster 7, it was about COVID and social media. People extracted tweets statistics about COVID, and they did some text mining in order to see how people are reacting to COVID, what is going on into that area. So there is a huge number of research about social media impact to society and vice versa, but also, for example, there is a huge number of papers about sentiment analysis for the prediction of stocks, which there is a huge interest in this area about, like I'm telling you, social media. Since COVID is now the hot topic, now it is, let's say, rise up in the last year. It could be, for example, I don't know, blockchain, finance, or fintech, or something like this. So when you define what you would like to write about, and you have some kind of algorithm, or you have some kind of application, or you would like to write a review, it is very important to target the right journal and the conference. So my suggestion is that you select 2 or 3 journals and conferences, and then you read the papers from them and see what the authors are writing about it. I don't have to tell you to avoid predatory journals at no cost, so this is very important. And some of the conferences in Croatia and Slovenia, which are, I think, for our area relevant, are CECIS at Varaždin, MIPRO, then Slovenia Operational Research Conference, COI also, and there are others. There are just few of them. However, these conferences, I think, are much more important for this specific audience. These are all IEEE conferences and all ISNET conferences. And here is like the list of the journals in computing area. I just put something on Hrčak. There is also papers published in data science. Enes, which was the previous speaker, I googled him a few seconds ago, and then I found that he published a paper about vision analysis in Hrčak, so in some of the Croatian journals. So it's always good at the beginning of your career to publish scientific papers. I also recommend it to all of my students, and many of them publish scientific paper at the MIPRO conference, for example, and it helped them really to maybe tailor their position better in data science. About publishers, I just put here the list of the most reputable publishers. It is important that they are indexed in Web of Science and Scopus. And let me tell you a little bit about the composition of the paper. IMRAD are the words which are important here. So IMRAD framework just says there is introduction, methods, results, and discussion. And there is like suggestions on how to write the title of the paper, how to write the abstract. This is art and a skill like any other. And for example, here is like the cookbook on how to write the introduction section. The first paragraph, you give the current knowledge of the field. The second section, direction toward the purpose of the paper. The third paragraph, the purpose of the paper and the contribution. The fourth are the sections of the paper. So it's algorithm like any other on how to write a scientific paper. Literature review, method section, results section, and discussion section is the hardest to write. I'm not going to go deep into that direction. Publication integrity, I would like to say a little bit about it. Plagiarism is something which happens, so it is very important also at the beginning of your career to avoid it. Here is the example on what is plagiarized version and what is the corrected version. But I wanted to show you, for example, from Authenticate software, which is used to check whether you copy-paste something or not. And you can see here there are some specific sentences. For example, product terminal call rate. This is not a plagiarism because this is a specific term. However, this sentence, the second sentence, is plagiarized, obviously. So the authors copy-paste the whole sentence, and this can be a problem. And at the end, you begin to write a scientific paper. So the step 1 for beginners is to find an article that gives you like an example. So if you're writing at the beginning of your career, my suggestion is that you find the paper that you like, that is similar to the paper that you're writing on, and then you read it very detailed, sentence by sentence, and then you start to write. Because it will give you the idea of what needs to be explained and so on. And after you read it, you define the article structure and go to writing. Here is a sample writing process. I'm not going to go into deep. Here's like the old diagram which says that this process is quite messy and takes some time, and technologies that can help you to speed up your writing are Mendeley, Zotero, Kika, and other bibliometric software. So the main suggestion is to read a scientific paper, find an example paper in a similar journal that you see that is a good example that you can use to see how to structure your paper to give your composition and so on. And at the end, let's say messy process of writing a paper in a scientific journal. So this particular paper was quite cited. It gained quite interest in the scientific audience. It was about text mining, like I said, about Industry 4.0 job advertisement, and I wanted to tell you how much it takes to write a paper, okay, to be realistic about it. So when you're writing some kind of short conference paper, it can take you for 1 to 3 months, okay, not so much time. If you're experienced, it will take you shorter. So when you're at your senior position in academia, you're going to write it in 1 week or maybe 3 days, okay? But if you're at the beginning, it will take you some time. Longer conference paper for this conference which I mentioned, IEEE conference, ISNET conference, and these papers are really cited, and it can give you high visibility. It will take you quite some time because the review process is much more serious. Local journals 6 months to 1 year, and top journals for 1.5 to 3 years. So for example, this particular paper that we have been writing, it took us about 2.5 years to write it. It took us in the first phase 3 months, 3 months for the second phase, data collection, composition 3 months again, and at the beginning, at the end, 1 year. However, it is in top journal, it is quarter 1, and let's not go into deep, it was 20 pages with many information about it. Okay, so I would like to finish on time. The best way to learn about something, to my opinion, is to write about it. And my advice to all of you, I would like to tell you good luck in your scientific writing approaches. And I also would like to recommend to you, write a paper, publish a paper. This will be good for you, for your career, for your company. And also it's a good way to maybe advance knowledge in a specific area. So thank you very much.